everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand as Ruben Amorim's Reds take on Kieran McKenna's Ipswich at Old Trafford. It is battle of the bottom of the table. Manchester United, 1 win in 5 Premier League games, just simply not good enough. But it gets worse because Ipswich have failed to secure a win in their last 7 Premier League games. It truly is battle of the bottom of the table. There's a lot of talk about Manchester United being dragged into a relegation fight. Let's start on that straight away because Ipswich would be our competitors if we did get dragged into a relegation fight, but I don't think it's going to happen. Despite Manchester United having a completely embarrassing season, we are currently on 30 points in 15th place. Now, Ipswich are in 18th place and they are 13 points below us on 17 points, if I do recall correctly. So I very highly doubt that Ipswich are going to claw back 13 points. And then on top of that, Manchester United would have to not be able to win a single game or get even a draw or get any points from now until the end of the season. I just don't see that gap being closed. So I think we can rule out relegation. At this point in time for Manchester United, it's about saving face. I mean, 15th is embarrassing as it is, but where could Manchester United finish? They're going to finish 17th, they're going to finish 16th. West Ham are only just below us on goal difference. So it's really important that we go and get points out on the board, put some smiles on fans' faces, get a good performance in, and do not underestimate Ipswich. Manchester United were lucky against Everton. They were lucky against David Moyes' side to get a 2-2 draw. We really were. On a different day, that could have been given as a penalty against Ashley Young. Whether you think it is or not, I would argue it's not. I do think he made a meal out of it. The way we started that game, the lack of intensity that Ruben Amorim spoke about in his press conference, it was unacceptable. And if we start like that against Ipswich, we will get punished. Despite Ipswich being 8th in the Premier League, they're a good side. And they can turn up. They've got some good players. They've got players that would get into our starting 11. Liam Delap would easily start up front for Manchester United. He's an absolute baller. There's a reason Manchester United are scouting him. There's a reason why Manchester United are looking at him. I mean, get in the comments down below. Would you want Liam Delap in the summer? I personally, my preference is Victor Osimhen, experienced, has got every attribute you would want, is ready to compete with the likes of the Isaks and the Haalands and the Ollie Watkins of the Premier League. That's what Manchester United need. They need a top 4 striker. Osimhen, we know he's delivered season upon season. He's got pace. He can bully defenders. He's quick. He's quick across the ground. He's technically good with the football. I really like Victor Osimhen. But Liam Delap, for 21 years old in the Premier League, has got a fantastic return. And there's been so many excuses, you know, Joshua Zirkzee and Rasmus Højlund, they don't get service. They don't get much service, that's absolutely true. But they also don't do enough. Liam Delap playing for Ipswich in the relegation zone doesn't get much service either. But he makes his own chances, he bullies defenders, and he looks like a really promising striker. In an ideal world, you'd have a Liam Delap and a Victor Osimhen coming into Manchester United. That's what we need. Look at where Aston Villa were at when they had Ollie Watkins and Duran. You know, Newcastle had Isak and Callum Wilson. You know, Man City have Marmoush and they have Haaland. They had Haaland and they have Alvarez. You'd ideally have an Osimhen and a Liam Delap because Joshua Zirkzee, by the manager's own words, is more of a 10 and Rasmus Højlund just isn't cutting it. So let me know your thoughts on him, but they do have some good players. Amari Hutchinson being another one. He is an absolute baller every time I watch him for Ipswich as well. But Ipswich, despite having some good players, have not got as many points as they would anticipated after having a really good season in the Championship. Kieran McKenna was actually linked to the Manchester United job after Erik ten Hag got the sack. Actually, before Erik ten Hag got the sack, he was linked to the Manchester United job after ten Hag won the FA Cup final and debating whether we're going to sack him or not. He really was in line for it. He was also in line for the Brighton job as well. Obviously, since then, Herschel is doing a fantastic job at Brighton. But Kieran McKenna, he's got ties to Manchester United. He'll know exactly what it's like being in the dugout at Manchester United. I think his period while he was in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coaching staff was underrated. He was a big part of that and the successes Manchester United had at that time. I remember, you know, Ole's coaching staff used to get ridiculed. You know, we're in second spot, getting ridiculed. You know, Vibes FC. God, I'd love to be at that place now. I get it wasn't sustainable, you know, counter-attack FC for the future. But, wow, I think Kieran McKenna at the time, he probably did get criticised when he was actually doing a very, very good job. And he's done a very good job since. He's done a fantastic job with Ipswich. Whether Ipswich get relegated or not, you can't deny that. And, you know, Manchester United are going to have a tough time against them. They've got some varying results throughout the season. There's been instances where they've been smacked up, you know, 6-0. Spurs beat them 4-1. But there's also been instances earlier on in the season where they did one over on Spurs at their stadium. You know, they can grind out a result. They can grind out a point. So Manchester United, who are one of the easiest teams to play against, do not doubt that Ipswich can absolutely give us a game. There's no doubts about that. What starting 11 do you pick, though, to take on this Ipswich side? Who is best up for the fight? Who's best up for the battle? Who's going to give you that intensity from minute one? And where are we at with injuries? Well, Manchester United, Ruben Amorim did say that there is nobody returning from injury. That kind of left me a little bit suspect, because Mazraoui came off with a knock to his knee. He came off injured. So is he injured and he's not returning, or is he okay and he's going to be able to play? I want clarification on Mazraoui, because Mazraoui is super important to Manchester United right now. I can't even tell you. He is such a good centre-back in that system. And yes, Delap and Maguire had a torrid all time at Goodison Park. We need Mazraoui. He's quick across the ground. He goes into the midfield. I think he's probably best capable of taking on that Lisandro Martinez role, who we have missed incredibly, who's out for the season. He covers the wide spaces well, whereas Delap and Maguire don't. So Mazraoui is absolutely needed. So I want more clarification on his injury, because I think he has to start. The rest of my starting 11, let's cut to the chase. It's going to be Andre Onana in goal. No returns from injuries. Tom Heaton and Bayindir are somehow still injured. Don't know how. I wish they weren't, because honestly, if Bayindir was fit, he would be starting in goal for me. Harry Maguire and Onana had an absolute calamity on that second goal. Onana just keeps parrying stuff back into danger instead of parrying out of play. I gave him so much patience. I gave him so many times benefit of the doubt, but I'm getting sick of it now with Onana. Too many mistakes. Bayindir would be in if he was fit, but he's not. So Onana starts in goal. Hopefully he can redeem himself and have quite a quiet game. My back three, if Mazraoui is fit, which I'm hoping he is, Mazraoui left side is centre-back, Yoro right side is centre-back. He's been out with illness and maybe, you know, Delap and Maguire were getting the nod, but Delap and Maguire were both terrible against Everton, in the first half anyway. They got better in the second half, to be fair, but both of them weren't very good. You could flip a coin on who's central centre-back out of them two, to be honest with you. But I would give Yoro that chance as a right-sided centre-back. Again, someone who can cover space well, can drive into the midfield with the ball, did well when he came off the bench at Goodison Park. I'd play Mazraoui on the left, Yoro on the right, and either Delap or Maguire centrally. Take your pick on who. I'd probably personally go with Delap, just because I prefer him as a centre-back, as a defender. Maguire has had some really good games, but that second goal was just a calamity. I'm not dropping him out just because of that, but if I had to pick between Delap and Maguire, I personally would. I just fancy Delap more. My two midfielders in front. Now, I was calling for Casemiro and Ugarte to start in the last game, because I thought it would give us a better defensive structure. Little do you know, we're 2-0 down in the first half against Everton, so that didn't really work. However, them two goals we did concede both came from sloppy bits of play and sloppy passes, predominantly by Bruno Fernandes, actually, who did get us back into the game eventually. But would we have to get back into the game if he would have just passed it properly the first time? That's the questions that go around in your head, and that's what happens when you speak to Ricky like me and you analyse the game. If we would have just got them passes right, would we have had to get back into it? We'll move on to Bruno in a second. So is Casemiro and Ugarte going to work? Should it continue? We got better undeniably when Casemiro came off against Everton. I wouldn't start Casemiro again. I really wouldn't. So who would I start next to Ugarte? Because Ugarte is an absolute nailed on, has to start, is probably the best player along with Dorgu in this system, because the Ruben Amorim players, they work to the strengths of this system. So Ugarte absolutely starts. Who starts next to him? Two choices for me. You have Eriksen, who I think has been criminally underused by Ruben Amorim. I really like Ruben Amorim. I understand that he needs intensity and needs physicality from his players, which is why Christian Eriksen probably isn't getting the game time. But I do think you don't have to agree with every single decision. And my personal opinion is that Christian Eriksen's been underused. In a team where the footballing IQ is so low and our ability to make 5-yard passes seems so difficult, why is Christian Eriksen not getting more game time? I think he deserves some game time. He come back from illness, give him some game time. Okay, yeah, he doesn't get around the pitch in the greatest fashion in terms of his physicality. He's not the most athletic, but he's got a great footballing brain. He'll look after the ball. In a team that can't score goals, he can thread a pass. He's creative. I would like to see him start next to Ugarte, or the manager might go with Sekou Kone, Kone's not yet got some game time. I'd be very surprised if he starts. He might come on off the bench, but apparently he's really impressing behind the scenes. Kone, who we brought in, Christopher Vivell, had a big hand in that. He's one that I suspect will be definitely part of the squad again, who could get a run out. Then my wing backs obviously are going to be Dorgu, best performer of last game, Dalot, purely because there's nobody else. I would like to see Dalot take a leaf out of Dorgu's book, be a little bit more, creative going forward, take a few more risks, get some crosses in. But Dorgu, I just want to keep seeing him develop because he already looks head and shoulders above anybody else. Surprise, surprise, Ruben Amorim's only signing. My 2 10s, Joshua Zirkzee, right-sided 10. Technically, I think he's been brilliant the last couple of games. Although we have lost against Spurs and we drew against Everton, I think Joshua Zirkzee was another bright spark. I think with more intelligent footballers around him, like Christian Eriksen, which is why I would start him, he will look even better. He's not the full package. He does struggle to maybe cover as much ground as what we would like. But Joshua Zirkzee on the ball is good. He's a good footballer. And, just to have that base of being a good footballer helps you out a lot. I do think there is a player in there. I really do. And I think he has a future in this Ruben Amorim squad as a 10. He looks better as a 10. I think he has a future as a squad player there. And I also think he would be better with more intelligent footballers around him on his wavelength. I think he's a very intelligent football player. So I would start Zirkzee right-sided 10. Left-sided 10, it's Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, I know there's a lot of conflicting views on whether he should have been man of the match. Probably not. My man of the match would have been Ugarte or Dorgu. He did get us back into the game with that free kick. He is Manchester United's talisman. However, he has been massively underperforming and he needs to just get his passing accuracy right. Stop taking risks in situations where we don't need to and just get the football moving. We know he's a good footballer. Be a good footballer. Stop being lackadaisy with your passing. Bruno has to start. There's not really any other options. He has to start there. But I need to see his performances over the course of 90 minutes elevated. Up front, does Chido Obi start? Well, he came on the pitch and Manchester United scored 2 goals. And Rasmus Højlund hasn't scored a goal in 16 games. If you started Chido for 16 games or played him 16 games, would he score? Would he score a goal? I think he would. I think it makes sense to start Chido. I would start Chido. Is he 100% ready? No. But honestly, you could put anyone on right now and it wouldn't get any worse. So I would give Chido that opportunity. Get in the comments down below, who would your starting 11 be? In terms of my score prediction, I am going with a 2-1 Manchester United win. I think it's going to be scrappy. I think Ipswich are going to make it difficult for us. I think they will score because they have attacking threat. And like I've said multiple times before, United are very easy to play against. It would not surprise me if they rocked up here and got a 1-0 win because we struggle to score, massively struggle to score, and we will make a defensive error. We are vulnerable off set pieces. You can get a goal out of us. So we have to be on our A game. Intensity from minute 1. Ruben Amorim was very damning in the press conference. We know it. You know it. The players know it. We didn't have enough intensity. We need to 100% give the system everything we've got and put everything into this game because we can't be coming away with Ipswich beating us at home. It's just embarrassing. And United's home form is embarrassing. Our form over across the season is embarrassing. We can't be beat by Ipswich as well, who haven't got a Premier League win over the line in 7 matches. We've got to win. Look, everyone, get in the comments down below. Would you start Kone? Would you start Chido Obi? Let me know your thoughts. What are your score predictions? I'm going 2-1 Manchester United. Let's wait for the game. Come on, Manchester United.